Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and we are starting Health Tech Challenges Superfinals. For those of you who don't know, it is the most exciting industry startup competition of the year, identifying the world's top digital healthcare and health tech innovators. This year, we have received over 400 applications, but only 60 startups made to the top to compete for an equity-free money prize and the attention of key global investors. The day before yesterday, the finalists pitched their companies live to remarkable members of the jury. And after that decision-making, our judges have picked 6 game-changing challenges. So, first of all, let's give it up for our incredible jury. Marco Armea, head of ecosystems, scouting and programs at 5HT Digital Hub. Sander Rutenberg, Global Digital Health Solutions, head for immunology, hepatology and dermatology at Novartis. Jennifer Pune, Data Policy Strategy Lead, Personalized Healthcare at Hoffmann La Roche. Omur Ostage, Digital Innovation Lead at GSK. Mina Handolin, Leading Specialist at Citra. Hatim Abdul Hussein, Clinical Fellow, AI and Robotics at Health Education England. Sela Azos, Global Director, Digital Health at Novartis. Trupen Modi, Director of Digital Health Innovation Strategy at Microsoft. Tom Denwood, Chief Digital Officer of Population Health Partners. Jake Prigoff, the Director of Research at Gaingels. Kasparas Aleknavičius, Head of Medical Affairs at Kilo Health. Laura Modiano, Business Development, Healthcare and Life Science Startups, EMEA at Amazon Web Services. Tadas Langaitis, co-founder and CFO of Kilo Health, and Eimantas Mikšys, CPO at Kilo Health. So thank you, judges, for joining us today. And I really think that our super final will be interesting for you and for our viewers. And I hope that you are ready for the first pitch of our super final. So please meet Alex Rochegood from Predictive, the winner in So, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for technical inconvenience. Yeah, we had some technical issues. We hope that everything is solved. I'm happy that Carlos Rodriguez is with us again. So, once again, Carlos Rodriguez from CogniFit, winner in the mental health category. So let's try to do everything from the beginning, Carlos, now, okay? 5 minutes for your presentation and then 5 minutes for Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Let's hope this time is gonna go fine. So once again, I'm Carlos Rodriguez. I'm the CEO of CogniFit, and it's an honor to be able to have the opportunity to pitch you about this amazing technology that we have created. So now what happened? Okay. Our business is to maintain brain health and treat neurological disorders. This is a big challenge and a big one as the population continues to grow older quickly in this world. Our solution is an effective treatment for the affected cognitive functions with no side effect. We have created probably the most complete digital cognitive assessment intervention that exists today. CogniFit assesses 23 fundamental cognitive skills, the one that you see on the screen, detecting strengths and weaknesses and generating unique training sessions to improve each one of those skills. We call it the individualized training system technology, a technology that automatically analyzes hundreds of thousands of possible game combinations to deliver the most efficient training outcomes. It's kind of magic to watch how the users receive different experience every time they use the system. What we do is that we challenge the user's brain neuroplasticity to reconnect neural pathways so that the people can regain cognitive abilities. And we do this with a variety of carefully designed cognitive tasks. So I was saying before, users just play cool games, but actually they are performing a cognitive therapy, and one that, thanks to software, is adjusting to the evolving needs in real time. We create games because patient engagement is one of the key elements for the treatment to work. The trick is balancing between what the patient must do in order to improve and how to keep them engaged in doing the treatment long enough from the houses. So obviously, we track, measure, and report many things about the progress and the brain health of the users. I've been working more than 10 years on building this system. This is today a scalable cloud-based platform designed to capture and process billions of data points in real time that becomes more effective with every new user that sign up, and we sign up one new user every 30 seconds now, and with every new games that we add to the platform, and we keep adding games one per month. We have already completed the first 3 layers of the system: data norms, artificial intelligence models, and service tools. And now we are moving into the next generation of products, digital therapeutics for brain conditions, such as depression, stroke, insomnia. We'll talk more in a few moments. So how do we make money out of all this? We work on 6 value generation strategies. The obvious one, direct to consumers through our apps and websites. And then we work in 6 business-to-business different verticals. 5, care delivery, education, research, pharmaceuticals, and insurance company. What is our progress so far? So far, we have invested more than $30 million in building this platform through the years. And the technology is in the market already. About 4 million people in 19 languages has experienced CogniFit so far. So we are generating some revenues. In the B2B segment, and that's very important, without any marketing spending, because we have been solely focused on validating the technology, we generate about $1 million a year without a 30% annual organic growth. So in the B2B verticals that we have seen before, we generate value through different elements: clinical data generation, product validation, scientific publications, and of course, we integrate with some big partnerships that pays money as well. But there is more, as I said before. We have a pipeline of digital therapeutics products to treat cognitive decline associated to brain conditions that is coming very soon. All this is done and managed through a very small team of about 30 people. My team, very efficient one. I'm always surrounded by scientists that push our technology for the next frontier all the time, and some business people helping me, well, not to make too many mistakes, at least in the same day. The company is profitable, already moving into a global commercial expansion with the current portfolio of products that I mentioned before, and we are about to become the digital pharma with the biggest pipeline of digital therapeutical products for treating cognitive symptoms in the world, I think. So what I'm doing now is fundraising $50 million to bring the company to the next level, because after all these years of work, I think we are more than ready to succeed. So if you are interested in joining me in this amazing journey, we are here to help millions of people to have a better life. Thank you.
Carlos Rodriguez, thank you so much. Once again, we apologize to the jury, to our audience for the technical issues. But our technical team, they made every effort to eliminate that barrier, and we hope that now everything's gonna be okay. So now it is time for the jury questions to Carlos. Who would like to start?
Okay, I put my hand up, so if I could start. Great to see, Carlos, that I think it referenced 22 academic studies.
That's right.
Yeah, were any of those randomized? So were there a randomized control trial within those 22?
Yeah, several of them, most of them actually, I can say. So there is different levels of quality in the studies because we have many studies through the years, some more in the academical side, originally like even 10 years ago, some others more on the validation side. So there is, I will say, at least 6 or 7 studies with randomized controlled double-blind legs in the study, yeah. Those are the ones actually that we are going to be using for the FDA approvals for different claims that we are looking for clearance. Yeah, that's in the process we are right now. And you need to know as well that we have like about 200 studies running in parallel as we speak. Most of them are small studies, but still there is about 60 that are significantly important studies, well designed as well, with enough methodology to be a proper study. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
We still got 3 minutes. More questions to Carlos.
Sorry.
Please.
So I may follow about the studies. You mentioned several diagnoses and several different brain functions. Like in which of those maybe functions or diagnoses are you doing the best and the worst according to the outcomes of your studies?
So we have, you see, the way CogniFit works and what we are trying to get clearance is like we treat cognitive symptoms associated to brain conditions. So let's say, for example, where we have good studies proving that we make a significant improvement is, for example, in insomnia, in depression, where basically what we can prove is that a population that has insomnia suffer for several cognitive symptoms decline affected in a number of cognitive abilities that we measure. So we have a good tool measuring, as you shall see, 23 cognitive abilities, and 6 or 7 are affected by different insomnia, for example. So what happened is that our studies are proving that you significantly improve the cognitive abilities that has been affected by the symptom. To your question, the most advanced that we have are for insomnia, depression, stroke, and we are looking into COVID as well, long COVID.
2 minutes left.
Okay, I think I'm on the next on the line. Thank you, Carlos. Very impressive presentation, and you are really in the heart of the thing where the digital field is going. My question is now that now you are in the US market. So, what kind of plans you have for scaling your solution in other markets, for instance, in Europe, and how well you are aware of their digital health assessments and the regulatory pathways in Europe, for instance?
Yeah, so basically, we have been operating through all the years kind of in the wellness space because it's not regulated, so we can sell, and the money we are making, like the $2 million that we are making in revenues come from the wellness space that has a big leverage for improvement on or putting marketing on the wellness side. So what we are doing now is getting approval, FDA approval for the American market, and then moving with the same product and the same claims into the European agencies to get approval in Europe. For physical therapeutics, I know that Germany is well advanced, but this is part of my roadmap. So that's why I basically raising the money in order to boost 2 elements. One element is marketing for the wellness market that we already have a mature technology and commercialize, and completed the regulatory approvals both in the US and Europe in order to start selling the digital therapeutical products, always treating cognitive symptoms. I mean, starting in the US, following up very quickly in Europe, as our platform is multi-language, are already ready for going in the other countries. We have already like more than 1 million users in Europe. Yeah.
Thank you, jury, for your questions. Time's up. Many thanks to Carlos Rodriguez. And now we ask jury to cast your votes on the voting platform. And I hope that now we will succeed to connect again to Alex Rochegood from Predictive. And I hope that we're going to have his pitch again on our broadcast. And I hope that there will be no more, technical issues. So, Alex, we're trying to reach you. I hope you can hear us. I would like to remind you that Alex Rochegood from Predictive is the winner in the telemedicine and personalized care category. Again, we will ask him for his presentation for 5 minutes, and then we're going to have 5 minutes for Q&A. Alex, I apologize for the first time. Let's keep that as the rehearsal, okay? But we loved your enthusiasm, and I personally thought that it will be unfair if we leave you as that without questions. But I think it's gonna be much even better, because now we're gonna have one more time your presentation, and then we're gonna have your questions from the jury. But our technicians say that you still didn't share your screen, so please share your screen, and we can start over. Okay, fine. Everything is fine. Now it is time for you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I hope that my internet connection will be better and that problems are solved on both sides. So I'm Alex Rochegood. I'm the COO and co-founder of Predictive, the first DNA-based digital twin to predict and prevent diseases. So there are 400 million people in the world that suffer from a rare disease. That's 1 out of 15. At the same time, there are 17 million people 17 million cancers that are diagnosed every year in the world. And what science knows today is that over 10% of serious diseases have a genetic component and could have been prevented. This is why we built Predictive, a minority report for health. So in this movie, Tom Cruise, as a police officer, uses a solution to predict crimes before they happen so he can prevent them. What we are offering to clinicians, physicians, genetic counselors is the same solution for health, to help them predict diseases before the symptoms appear so they can prevent them. And to do that, we introduced the first DNA-based digital twin. So we make a digital version of you based on your 20,000 genes that enables us to assess the level of risk on 22,500 diseases, to simulate your body reaction to over 750 drugs. And we made a solution that is easy to use. So not only for the physician, for the genetic counselor or genomics experts, but also for the patients and general practice doctors. We have that solution that is also searchable and real time, which means that you can Google your DNA, you can search by disease, by genes, by drugs, so that enables to guide the diagnosis or to identify the risk of diseases. And because this is real time and searchable, it also evolves over time because we update our data on a very regular basis. So we always have the latest findings in research. So we have the most comprehensive solution on the market today, with 1,000 times more diseases than any other solution. And the reason why we have that is because today, other solutions, every time they want to assess the level of risk on one disease, they hire a team of researchers to look into all the papers, into public databases, and to identify the gene variants, the level of evidence, the clinical significance, and many other criteria. What we have done is that we have automated that entire process. So we look at 100% of diseases known to have genetic components. We look at 100% of gene variants. We match that in our genomics pipeline, and based on the level of evidence, based on the clinical significance and many other criteria, we are able to define the genetic risk, the inborn disease risk. But we didn't stop there. We added our AI engine part to bring on also health data. So it could be your ECG from your watch, could be your weight from a scale. And we add also the medical history. And based on that, we're able to provide you real-time information. And we wanted it to make it easy. Today, when you want a clinical-grade genetic test, you need to have blood samples. We developed a proprietary protocol based on theirs to extract the DNA, which make it easy. So from the comfort of your home, you can get your samples and send them to us. So how do we go on the market? We partner with healthcare professionals, with retailers that provide our solution, recommend, prescribe our solution to their patients. We then collect the DNA. build, extract, sequence, and analyze the DNA to build the digital twin. And then we have that genetic counseling session that is a very important part of the package, which is there to explain the results, but also set up a preventive plan. We have signed a large number of partnerships, and in the past few months with DNA Visit, Healwell24, Somos, and many others to distribute our solution, to prescribe our solution, to use our solution. So we have this amazing team with Sajung and Sijung, identical twin brothers, both teaching genomics at Johns Hopkins. Myself, a serial entrepreneur with 2 successful exits and former partner at KPMG. Milani, Chief Medical Officer and MD physician and Johns Hopkins trained bioinformatician. And Alexander, our CTO, who's a full stack software engineer with an extensive startup experience. So what we're doing at Predictive is not only improving the healthcare system, we're trying to revolutionize the healthcare system by going from a reactive medicine to a proactive medicine. So we're bringing the future of medicine today, and we raised for that in June a first round of $1.2 million, led by Tim Draper, Plug and Play Ventures, and over 1,500 individual investors during our equity crowdfunding campaign. We have signed contracts for covering over 200 hospitals and clinics, 3,300 clinicians, and we already have over 250 orders and pre-orders. So we're very excited by that. And by the way, I didn't mention it the first time, but you can test your DNA today on www.predictive.care. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Now it is time for the questions from our distinguished jury. Who will start first?
Maybe I could ask the first question, if that's all right, because I asked the first question
Please
last time.
go ahead.
So well done for your very ambitious approach, Alex, and your pitch. And I guess the question which is really burning is, how do you know it works? What evidence have you got? What randomized controlled trial or observational research have you conducted?
So we have thanks a lot for your question. That's a very important one. And you can imagine that all physicians, genetic counselors, or hospitals are asking us the same question. There are really 2 parts in our solution. The first part is really on the genomic side. And on the genomic side, we're not making up any data. We're not creating any information. What we're doing is that we're gathering the right information for the patients. We just look at the clinical evidence, we look at the clinical significance, level of evidence, and of course, you can imagine that some gene variants have impacts that are more or less well known. So we know it works because we're not making any information. We're providing the right information to the clinician, and then that's at the end the clinician that makes the decision. But at least with having all the information that is related to the patient.
Next question, please.
Are you doing scoring of potential illnesses that you could have? And then the associated question is, what are the FDA approvals you have and you still don't have? So 2 questions together.
So we have internally a score that we decided not to display at the moment because we need more data to make sure that it's accurate. What we do is that we score the clinical significance based on the data we gather. We score the level of evidence. Also, if those are gene variants that have been, for which papers have been published or by large renowned institutes and confirmed by other research papers, of course, you can imagine that the score gets higher. So this is really the way we do it. We don't display our internal score, the predictive score at the moment, because we want to make some more trials, but we provide information of the clinical significance, the level of evidence, and if those are ACMG 73 genes, if those are ClinGen curated genes, so depending on the level of curation, we classify and rank them different ways. So what we provide to genetic counselor are basically actionable, significant, so 5 to 10 actionable to significant, most important risk. And then that's the decision of the clinician based on other data that we might not have to discuss it with the patient.
If I'm a patient from European Union, and as we understand, you're based in USA, right? How my information travels, what kind of consulting services, what kind of advice, medical advice I can get in the process of receiving a digital twin, and then later my digital twin exists and it reacts to new information, right? So new findings, new scientific findings, and there's new information. How does this reach me? How does the communication work on my personal data?
Yeah, so these are two great questions. The first question regarding local regulations in Europe, but also we have some activities in Asia. So today, at the moment, all genetic counseling sessions are done from licensed genetic counselors in the US. So wherever you're in Asia or Europe, it would be like American genetic counselors licensed in the US that will cover it. We're currently working with developing our network abroad, and so we have signed a number of partnerships in Asia. We're in discussions also in some countries in Europe to provide local genetic counseling that might come, I would say, in Europe most probably next year. In Asia, we already have a number of them in India, in Thailand, in Singapore, and other countries. For the second part of your question about how we notify you of the new findings, just basically by email or text messages saying, okay, you have Predictive is an app, so you can connect. That's a web app. You can connect on the website and look at your findings. So when there are some new things that are important, that we consider important, then in those cases, we notify you by email, text messages, and early next year on a mobile app. So this is the way we will notify you.
And for global transportation of the sample, does it, how long can it travel? Can it travel from anywhere in the world to the same address?
Yes, because those are not wet samples, those are dry samples. Wet samples are very, like blood is very complicated in terms of transportation because those are dry samples. In most countries, I'm not saying all countries because every country has its own regulation, but in most countries, you can just send nails or hair without having... Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. You can send nails or hair or all that kind of dry samples are usually not a problem in most countries.
Thank you so much for your answers. Time's up. So we will ask the jury to cast your votes on voting platform. That was Alex Roshagut from Predictive. And now we are going to our third pitch of the day of our Superfinals. Andreas Fessler from Apocula, winner in the Deep Tech and AI category. Andreas, I hope you can hear us.
I can hear you.
Oh, hello. So now over to you, and you will have 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, 5 minutes for Q&A from jury.
Perfect. Okay, my name is Andreas Fessler, and I'm the Manager of Strategic Initiatives here at Apocula. And I'm going to show you what the future of medicine is going to look like. Surgeons across all medical disciplines face the same problems. Namely, you can't plan for what you can't see, and you have limited support in the OR. In the developed world, 1 in 20 surgeries results in an adverse event, and 50% of those are caused by human error and thus considered preventable. Human error takes the form of poor planning, poor execution, poor communication, or poor teamwork. In the US alone, there are 400,000 preventable adverse events annually. Each adverse event costs the hospital system $20,000, which equates to a total economic burden to the hospital systems in the US of $8 billion. So if you're looking at the picture on the bottom left, this is what a visceral surgeon typically sees in a liver resectioning. And their task is to avoid the hepatic vein while removing half the liver with limited visibility. In the middle, this is what a neurosurgeon typically looks at for a hydrocephalus shunt surgery. And on the right, this is what a surgeon typically deals with when requesting support from a specialist. And his task or her task is not to lose line of sight or train of thought. So what if you could bridge these knowledge and visual gaps during surgery using cutting-edge medical mixed reality, like gaining depth perception with X-ray vision or planning your procedure in 3D before you make an incision? or even virtually scrubbing into the surgical theater as a 3D avatar, standing right next to the surgeon, feeling as though you're in the room with them. And that's what we're doing. The world is entering into the next wave of technological interaction. The first was computers with typing. The second was smartphones with tapping. And now with the mixed reality head-mounted devices, you're now able to interact with digital objects just with your hands alone. And so the mixed reality is just one subsegment of the greater extended or XR world. You have virtual reality that shuts out the entire real world and you're immersed in a digital environment. Augmented reality that superimposes one digital content over the real world. And we operate in mixed reality, enabling the user to completely interact with the digital objects in front of them in 3D volumetric space. And so what's the important takeaway really is, we're no longer bound to physical objects in a physical world. We're now able to leverage digital objects on top of the real world for equal or greater utility, and usually at a fraction of the cost with simply a software upgrade. Mixed reality in healthcare truly is the next market-creating disruptive innovation. And the key takeaway is this didn't exist 5 years ago, or really let alone 3 years ago. The extended reality greater market is growing at about 36% CAGR until 2027. And the mixed reality healthcare subsegment is growing at 50%. And so the drivers of this is finally this technology, the head-mounted devices are reaching a point for mass adoption, and the digital health venture community is doubling their investment spend into this space since COVID-19. And I'd like to introduce the VSI Whole Medicine platform. When looking at medical mixed reality, it's broken out by the back-end hardware enablers, and we are partnered and leverage the Microsoft HoloLens 2 hardware, as well as the Azure cloud. And we occupy the front-end software layer, providing surgical planning, medical collaboration, patient education, and medical education. We're medically certified CE Class 1, HSA Class A approved in Singapore, R&D Class 2 in Canada, completed our stage 1 of our MD SAP, and we're FDA 510K pending. We're in 35 hospitals globally, 3 medical schools, 3 med device partners onboarded, and across 10 different countries. We're also the gold mixed reality partner of Microsoft. Having said that, we offer a subscription as a service. Apocula's management team is built up of subject matter experts in molecular cell biology and polymer science, as well as experienced founders and seasoned entrepreneurs. We have 34 team members globally across the US, Germany, Poland, and Singapore. Additionally, we have a very strong medical advisory board of 30 specialized physicians across the globe that's guiding our clinical validation and direction. This spans 13 different medical fields and 10 different countries globally. We're a 100% bootstrap company, and we're currently raising a Series A round for international expansion. And finally, our company purpose is to become the foundational software platform and collaboration network for mixed reality-based medicine. Thank you.
Many thanks to Andreas. Jury, I hope you're ready for your questions.
I guess I'll kick it off. As a surgeon myself, thank you for innovating in this space. I applaud what you're doing. Does the technology integrate into laparoscopic and robotic surgery as well? And then a second question is, what imaging modalities are you integrating into the system? Is it CT? Is it X-ray? Is it MRI? Is it all of them? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're completely agnostic when it comes to the data sources. So we're able to transform all DICOM images, that's CT, MRIs, angio-CTs, you name it, from 2D, layer by layer into a 3D volumetric object. As for laparoscopic surgery or other kind of scoping devices, or even ultrasounds, we've developed a proprietary streamer box that enables you to simply hook in your equipment or your scope and stream it wirelessly into the HoloLens right in front of you. So that removes the burden for the physician to constantly twist their head or look around. You're able to position a virtual monitor essentially directly on your field of vision over the patient. And that's what we're working on as well.
So ideally, I would be able to remove the 3-4 different monitors that I have around the patient, and each assistant would be able to have their own device to see laparoscopic surgery.
Exactly. Yeah. So the next step for the surgical theater, right? This technology is able to completely eliminate all physical monitors, if you will, and replace that with virtual monitors of any imaging, any screen, any live video stream that you'd like to show, or even calling in another specialist, either through 2D calling or as a 3D avatar standing next to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I see more raised hands, so please go ahead with your questions.
I'm just going to comment. I was at Alder Hay Hospitals, one of our leading pediatric hospitals the other day, and they are using HoloLens massively in their surgery and also in their education. So really interesting to see this. In terms of your use of AI and your use of sort of algorithms on top to enhance this experience, it wasn't quite clear. How do you establish doing that? Is it something that you can see, almost someone performing surgery and getting sort of machine learning based support in terms of the operation, or is it just mainly from an education point of view?
Yeah, so there are a few sides to that. So one, we have created multiple neural networks to allow the surgeon or the user to essentially filter or segment out the DICOM object. So think of having nerve segmentation by pressing a button, and you're able to see the critical nerve structures. Say if you're an oral maxillofacial surgeon, you're able to then segment out the trigeminal nerve or vessels. So that's one area of this. And then the other layer is for placement. So it's automatic placement of DICOM images. And this is in research phase currently, but you're enabling the user or the surgeon to superimpose these 3D scans of that patient onto the patient autonomously, again, for research purposes currently. But that's really that next step in surgical planning.
More questions?
Can you speak to, it looks very intuitive first and foremost, so that's always a good thing. But I'm curious if you could speak to, is there an onboarding process that does have to take place with individual surgeons, and also for the, let's say, the surgical setup, are there any adjustments that hospitals need to make when they want to implement this type of approach?
Also a great question. We're very asset light. So we take up no footprint in the OR whatsoever. All you need is a head mounted device on someone's head physically, and you're able to just augment whatever it is that you'd like to see in front of you. So it actually does not require any additional hardware, monitors, or equipment. It's an all-in-one package.
Okay. It's my time. Hey, it's a great presentation. What about the competition? How would you describe the competitive landscape in US, and maybe now if you expand to Europe?
Yeah, so you're seeing a lot of different competitors pop up left and right. And I'd like to keep it broad, because we actually see a lot of competitors being potential collaborators with our platform. But ultimately, we're competing against all players that are in virtual reality, mixed reality, because this extended reality world, it's all going to blend together. And we see mixed reality just providing more value to the actual user in clinical practice, because you're not limited to just one virtual world with the design burden on top of that. So that's kind of where we see ourselves currently.
Maybe one more quick question, just 20 seconds left. No more questions? All right. Thank you so much, Andreas. Thank you so much. We ask our jury to cast their votes on the voting platform. I would like to remember that we listened to Andreas Fessler from Apocula, and we already halfway through. And let's move forward. Now we're trying to reach Steve Hu from Cybel Health, winner in the M Health category. So Steve, hello.
Hello.
I hope you're ready. Just quick reminder, 5 minutes for your presentation, and then 5 minutes for the questions and answers.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. You ready?
Yep.
Let's hop in.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Steve Zhu. I'm CEO, co-founder of Cybel Health. I'm a physician engineer. Very excited to talk about today our technology and our company. So a problem that we're trying to solve is foundational in medical care. It's medical monitoring. It's a $20 billion market. But if you look at the image on the left, that's from the 1980s in a neonatal ICU, and you look at the image to the right, that's from 2020, hasn't really changed much. Still adhesives and wires and systems coupled to big boxes attached to the wall. The major innovation has really been the outfits for the nurses. So we're trying to revolutionize that at Cybel, and we have produced, developed, commercialized the world's first ICU-grade wearable sensor network. It's FDA cleared. We're very proud to have that clearance. Essentially what it is 2 devices, sensors, soft, flexible in nature. I'm actually wearing one right now, that is able to capture both ECG, heart sounds, temperature, but also blood oxygenation. And together, they actually give you a correlate of blood pressure in a continuous way. So no more of those annoying cuffs. And these devices can operate both within the hospital as well as the home. So I want to share the fact that these devices also work with your smartphone. You can download our app, whether you're an Android user or an iPhone user, and be able to monitor in real time with ICU grade quality all the core vital signs of interest and importance, whether you're in the hospital or in the home. Now, what we've also done is gone on and developed this impressive cloud database. So health data as a service, it's HIPAA compliant, it's GDPR compliant. We've actually even deployed this system in low resource settings with philanthropies such as Gates Foundation and Save the Children Foundation. So it's truly a worldwide international health network linking all the sensor data that we produce onto a dashboard that's available anywhere. Whether you're monitoring an individual to a hospital, all the way even to a population level, we can do that with the Annie Hub connected to our sensors. Our business model is one in which there is a profit margin with the hardware itself, greater than 80% contribution margin. So we actually make a margin on the hardware. The second aspect is the accessories, the adhesive, the limb sensor, that generates a usage margin. So as people use the system more, it generates more margin. And then finally, with the cloud and the analytics that we do, predicting for things like decompensation or hospital admission risk, we're able to charge an analytics margin. So the device represents both a hardware product, but then a service component behind it, really allowing us to maximize revenue and sales. But before that, in the hospital, we also believe there's a huge opportunity in remote patient monitoring, which is really accelerated under the context of COVID-19. So deploying these sensors, clinical grade, FDA cleared in the home, but is as usable as a traditional wearable would be, but all clinical grade. You have your own phone that you can use, download our app, link that, and that sensor data can then be used to both trigger alerts to your provider as well as the patient itself. And obviously, this is really useful in the context of clinical trials. We're very proud to have many pharmaceutical companies, many of which are judges here today in this conference as clients and customers of Cybel. Overall, we see what we're developing here at Cybel as a platform technology. These ICU grade sensors that are as usable and wearable as a smartwatch, but clinical grade data, FDA cleared, allows us to touch so many different areas of healthcare, from remote patient monitoring to in-hospital care, to research and clinical trials, and to even sleep monitoring at a clinical level, all linked to a data as a service cloud that is internationally operational, whether that's in the US, in sub-Saharan Africa, or Europe and Asia. All of our work is peer reviewed. So unlike a lot of other companies, we publish at the highest levels. Our technology, our capabilities in nature, in science, in nature medicine, our data, our clinical trials, how our sensors work, it's all out there in the public domain. After, of course, we patent it. But that really shares and shows the kind of advanced technology we're bringing to the table, which is going to change healthcare worldwide. We're very proud of our joint development agreements and our partnerships, enabling us to launch in more than 20 countries. We have 32 active programs. We'll likely touch 10,000 lives by the end of this year, and partnerships with pharmaceutical clients, major payers and insurance companies, medical technology companies, and philanthropies. Our strength is in our partnerships as well. We've got a world-class executive team. I'm a physician and engineer, more than 10 years experience developing breakthrough medical devices. John Rogers is considered the father of flexible electronics, a world-class, well-respected academician and engineer, and a very well-rounded clinical team. We have a proven financially sound engagements, FDA clearance, and a talented, committed team. Love to take any questions.
Thank you, Steve. I hope our jury, I see one raised hand, so please go ahead.
Great presentation. So interesting combination, obviously, with the hardware and software. Great proven results. I'm wondering about the competition. Obviously, it's heavily regulated, but also there are a lot of competitors, even Apples and likes. What is the key differentiation here? So right now, I'm obviously wearing a smartwatch and, integrated into my health app. And then there are all these integrations in place. So what really differentiates you from them, or is there partnership opportunities there?
So there's both. So the first and most important is technology innovation. So our group, our team was actually the founding group in flexible electronics. So these devices, I'm going to take one off, are flexible, bendable, stretchable, so they become invisible to wear. Most of us don't like to go to sleep wearing a watch. And so I think this form factor innovation coupled to the most amount of parameters measured at all clinical grade capability is really what distinguishes us from the hundreds, if not thousands of smartwatch options that you have. So it's really the ability to take that technology from the ICU and make it as usable as a smartwatch, but achieve both comprehensive monitoring at far better clinical grade measurement and more of those that really distinguishes us from others. But with that being said, we're a very open access platform. Our software is built on a software development kit. We've integrated traditional weight scales and blood pressure cuffs and other wearables, including smartwatches, into our software stack, because we believe foundationally that better medical data, whichever device you prefer, is going to be better for your health. We think the ANI system is the end-all physiological platform that really does the most amount of things at that clinical grade level than ever been done before. And that's been shown by our leading technology and peer-reviewed papers.
More questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So first of all, again, great presentation, right? But like one of the panelists said, there's huge amount of competition, and it's going to be fairly easy for others to catch up. So how do you plan to prevail?
Well, I think that ultimately this is not a one-size-fits-all, a winner-take-all kind of process, because medical monitoring is so broad and evolved. But I think that ultimately where we believe we're going to win is the ability to generate tremendous amounts of clinical grade data, all of it sort of stored and copied in our ANI hub that will deliver better and better insights. So we're already working on next generation algorithms for sepsis prediction, heart failure readmission risk, and the fact that our devices capture the most amount of vital signs in a clinical grade way kind of allows us to then develop those advanced analytics. Sure, you can make a competing device, a competing patch. I don't think it's easy, to be honest, but I think ultimately that is something where you're pointing out can be done. But then our leadership in growing the number of countries, the scale we've already been able to achieve with our partners will really allow us to develop deeper insights, and that'll be much more difficult. I'll give you a specific example. We've done more than 4,000 pregnant women in more than 4 countries across 5 clinical sites, and we're using that data to predict for bad outcomes in maternity. And that's just one example. Those kind of data sets and algorithms, those are very hard to recapitulate, and that's something that Cybel is very focused on and has a leadership position in.
Okay, great. I will have a question. This looks like a dream story about do you see any risks, and how do you mitigate those risks in this complicated platform and system, having the data, AI, sensors, all these things connected together?
Well, I think absolutely there are like a big risk that we always think about is more around cybersecurity and patient privacy. I mean, that's a big risk that as you handle a lot of patient data that you have to be upfront about. So I think that, for us, we built this system not only to be the most comprehensive and clinical grade, but also the most secure. So everything that we do is encrypted. We have wireless wipe capabilities in case a smartphone or tablet is stolen or lost. We follow the best practices that the FDA has on cybersecurity protection. So obviously things like GDPR compliance as well for privacy concerns. So I think that when you handle something as important and precious as patient data, and so much of it, that's the biggest risk that I think that we see. And we're trying to be as proactive as we possibly can to ensure that that data is safe, secure, and private by following best practices, but by also innovating on things like encryption. So I'll give you a specific example. One of the things that we do in our device is that we actually compress and secure the device on the sensor itself. And it's kind of a unique data management protocol that allows that data to be extra secure. And that's things that we're doing looking ahead, right? Where losing data or having that problem occur, that's going to be a big risk and a big problem. We're trying to be as proactive as possible in preventing that.
Thank you, Steve Zhu from Cybel Health. Time's up, and we will ask the jury again to cast their votes on the voting platform. And now we're going to the 5th pitch of the day. Egbert Schillings from Leafan, winner in the hospital workflow category. So, Egbert, hello.
Hello.
Just a quick reminder again, 5 minutes for your presentation and then questions and answers, also 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Leafan Platform again. It is something that's made a lot easier by the knowledge that we are building something that all of us want to see in the healthcare systems that we work in. One of the beautiful things about being in healthcare is that if we're successful, we're all going to be our own customers at some point. And whether you're a venture capitalist, an engineer, a doctor, a business builder, we all want to see healthcare systems that are a bit more like this, person-centered. Now, we've talked about this for an awful long time, but in the age of digital, I think we're finally at a point where we know that we can deploy tools and information to the people who need them when they need them. They can be deployed to us as patients so we can be more self-empowered. And most of all, they can be deployed to those who take care of us when we need it the most. To do this, though, one has to connect all of the dots. And Leafan as a company was founded to do just that. And we realized some of those dots are actually documents. Healthcare creates millions and millions of documents every single day, and they need to go from one stakeholder to the other. They need to go from the lab to the doctor, to the hospital, to the patient. And they don't always do this with the precision and the speed that we want them to. They get lost, they don't end up in the EHR, and that's why the big Leafan brain was created, essentially a platform that is plugged into the EHR or the practice management system. It can read the documents, sends them to the platform where the algorithms read those, and then sends on the information that needs to be sent on to those who need to have them. That's connecting the dots. And we realized that what you see on the right-hand side here is ultimately the future of all of digital healthcare. It's about data. Data needs to flow. It needs to be connected. Identities need to be managed, and things need to be distributed. And now we're at a level where close to 600 hospitals trust us to do just that, tens of thousands of professionals and millions of documents. And they are exchanging those through these nodes. Here, every single thing is essentially an instance of somebody using this platform to distribute medical data to others who need to have it. When I first saw it, I thought immediately of a brain where all the neurons are firing, and that is essentially what we've built. Now the time has come to take all of the great innovation that sits in the cloud and to deploy that. All along the patient pathway, there's tremendous innovation going on. All of you probably open your emails every morning and go to your aggregator websites, and you can see the fantastic stuff happening in every vertical, in every functional and clinical one. Dozens and dozens of new products and services and companies. But for all of this great new innovation to be deployed in a way that it inflects outcomes, that it actually enhances the patient experience, or reduce cost, they have to be connected in a meaningful way, all of those dots. So I want to show you in one use case example on how we are foundational to doing just that. Many of you will have heard of APHB, which is a giant hospital system in Paris, 6 million patients, 33 campuses. And like everyone I'm speaking to now, they realize the future of health is digital. So they created a project called the At Hotel Dieu, where they invited a number of very innovative companies to create something that is necessary for patient-centered care, and that is a more integrated pathway. So you have them invite companies like Nabla, where you can use chatbots to get information on health conditions, where that data then can flow into the pathway even before the first healthcare professional has touched a patient, all the way to the other end of the pathway after diagnosis or surgery, where then fabulous company like Withings, which was discussed a lot at the conference, can use very ambient, very elegant devices to do remote monitoring. But all of it comes together only because of the Leafan platform, because we were invited to make sure that these systems get integrated, because we know that when you enroll a patient in a new tool, let's say an oncology self-management tool, you don't want to do this by hand. You want this to be elegant. We know how to pull the data from the patient administration system and populate all of the right fields. We create single sign-on so clinicians can go between different applications without having to sign in and sign out, which enhances the workflow and makes things more efficient. And of course, the organizations want to monitor all of this activity, for which we provide a dashboard where you can look at authorization, do audits, establish business rules. This is the sort of thing we've built with the platform, and that is why we have a lot of companies now joining us, great entrepreneurs creating new technology to be plugged into those neuronal networks. We're at a stage in our company journey that is very exciting. We're looking back on 5 years where many people have trusted us with their documents, with their data, and also with their money as investors. And we hope that tonight, all 140 of us will get you a vote of confidence as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. And now it is time for the jury questions. Who would like to start?
Yes, can you speak a little bit to your geographic expansion plans? It wasn't quite clear to me. Maybe I missed it. What your scope is at the moment and where you're heading next?
Yes, we're very proud that this big brain of neurons sits in France. That's where we're headquartered. So now our desire is to inkblot our way across the continent and hopefully also across the English Channel, weather permitting. So yeah, we are seeking to enter new markets, and we're working on our first proofs of concept, and we hope to have good news before the end of the year. But we will be focused on Europe for now.
Questions. We still got 4 minutes, more than 4 minutes.
Yeah, if I can do a follow-up question, who do you consider to be your primary purchaser on the customer side?
So our natural home is with the providers, because you saw 577 hospitals who decided to join us on this journey. So traditionally, who we're talking to are the CIOs who are seeking to bring all the great new innovation from the cloud and integrate it into their primary data systems. And in order for that to be a successful project that scales and that you can do at speed, that's who we generally speak to. Having said that, though, there are many others building digital ecosystems who will benefit from interoperability between different systems, especially cloud-native systems with on-premise systems. So we're also speaking with insurance companies, with medical device companies, obviously, and also research and development. Our home is in the provider space, and that's still our natural audience, but we're segmenting out to others as well.
I see more raised hands. Go ahead, please.
All right. I'd like to ask you about the competition. There are big players also in this health IT sector, and so how would you describe your competitors?
Absolutely. There are established companies that do nothing but integration projects and that work on them very successfully and very profitably. The way we differentiate ourselves from them is that we want to get away from the point-to-point integration that is always a project. It always takes several months, and to reuse connectors and those APIs in those primary data systems so that once you have those in place, you're in a good position to then bring in the next innovation. And that doesn't have to be another big project. It's actually more point and click. And as people join the platform, the deployment on the provider side becomes that much easier. So the way we would differentiate ourselves is to say, we want to make sure that this scales, and we want to do this at much lower cost than maybe some of the incumbent players.
More questions, please.
Yeah, no, I was just going to come in. The interoperability challenge here in England is a big one, and we have lots of programs, we have lots of systems, and we also have, we're trying to integrate our care between primary and secondary care. So you talked about hospital workflows, but actually there's a big impact on integrated care systems and how we sort of increase and act upon that. Have you given that any thought? And kind of what would you mentioned? You want to come over this side today in the channel. So have you given any thought about how you approach that?
Yeah, no question. There's tremendous work being done in the NHS to ultimately create integrated care systems. And they will always involve people that are doing social care in completely different settings in the hospital and also in the practice management of the individual GPs and many points beyond. We've already integrated ourselves with practice management systems of GPs, so we know how that works. And we think that ultimately the same principle can always apply, that once the connector is in place, you need to just standardize the data flow, you need to probably clean it up, and you need to raise the visibility on what's going on so that it can be done safely. So I am always guided by my original work experience, which was at Kaiser Permanente in California, where I could see that having a horizontally and vertically integrated system where the patient is really at the center of it and the data flows to every stakeholder within it is the way to go. Now, not every system can be like that, but I think there are those, and I've seen definitely among the CSUs and the CCGs enormous steps in that direction. We will be delighted to be part of that solution because it's absolutely true. This is not about the hospital. The future healthcare system, as we looked at in the first slide, is about the individual, not about a building. And we think we can be the pipes to make that data flow.
Mr. Modi, your quick question.
Sure. So thanks and good to see you again. Good story so far, but what's next? In terms of new product, new services, new business models, what's next?
Next is more apps to join us on the platform. So all kinds of individual companies that want to go fast, more connectors into data systems so that we can guarantee more data streams that are interoperable, and more experience working with those EHR systems that are so crucial because they're the single source of truth. That would be next for us, and doing all of that in more markets than in France.
Many thanks to Egbert Schillings from Leafan. He is the winner in the hospital workflow category. And again, we ask our jury to cast your votes on the voting platform. And now we're moving to the last pitch of the day. Sadrine Miller Montgomery from Micronoma, the winner in the diagnostics category. Still, I just receiving the information from our technical group that they are trying to reach her. The last but not least, the sixth pitch today. And then, yeah, I think we have Sandrine. Sandrine, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Perfectly. We hear you. And how does it feel to be, the last but not least? Because this is the last pitch of the day.
I feel very special and honored. And I hope it's not too late for you because it's very early still for me.
Oh,
Coffee
okay.
time.
So coffee time. Yeah, it's evening, already dark outside, but yeah, we, broadcasting to all over the globe. So somewhere it's night, somewhere it's morning, somewhere it's just afternoon. So I hope you're ready. 5 minutes for you for presentation and then 5 minutes for questions, okay?
Perfect. I'm looking forward to that. Hi, everyone. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Sandrine Miller Montgomery. I'm the CEO of Micronoma. We have been awarded the winning position for the category of diagnostic. And right now I'm going to explain to you what we're diagnosing. So we do diagnostic of early cancer, early stage, and we're using liquid biopsy with a twist. We're using microbiome-driven liquid biopsy. So first, why are we focusing so much on early cancer detection? Well, it's because each year, as we know, cancer kills a lot of people, but 4 million of these deaths could be prevented if only there was an early detection methodology. There is a lot of people who are looking in the field of liquid biopsy for the right biomarker, but we think that they are focusing on the wrong biomarkers for early cancer detection. And I'll tell you a little bit more later. And additionally, we want to find the cancer at the right time, not too early and not with false positive, because we don't want to create a false scare in the patient. So here's the leadership team. We are a mixture of computer scientists, AI experts, as well as oncologists and microbiome people, all coming together to be able to create this solution. I mentioned we are using microbiome-driven liquid biopsy. Why are we doing that, and what is microbiome? So first, microbiome is the communities, the many communities of microbes that are living in us and within us. There are bacteria, virus, and fungi. And when we look at the number of genes, the number of human genes that we can query for biomarkers are only 23,000. Microbial genes, on the other hand, there's a huge diversity of more than 2 million. And that's likely coming from the fact that microbes were on the planet way, way before humans were, and they had time to evolve and diversify way more. And so we are mining this diversity to find biomarkers of cancer. People are looking in microbiome, in oral microbiome, skin or gut microbiome, because they are easily accessible like the outside of this donut. But the problem with this microbiome is that they are very variable with your dental hygiene, your skin lotions, or your diet. So the team has been very focused on looking at what is the dough of this donut, which is either the tissue or the blood compartment, because they are naturally protected and mostly homeostatic. Our first cancer of interest is lung cancer. It's unfortunately a very prevalent cancer and a very deadly one. The survival rate at 5 years is less than 20%, despite the fact that there is a very nicely established state of the art. The problem with this state of the art is that the first step is to go through low-dose CT scan. Not expensive, minimally invasive, but when you find a nodule in the lung, you have to go to tissue biopsy to know more. And that's a problem because it's expensive and it's risky. And thankfully, only 5% of the nodules are going to be malignant. But that means that 95% of the time you go through this risk and this expense for no reason. So that's where we are going to go first with our Micronoma solution. It's like a liquid biopsy platform. You start with very little amount of blood, you sequence it, you look at the microbes, and you figure out if someone has cancer or not. Our data has been published in the journal Nature in 2020, where we query more than 11,000 patient samples to arrive to multiple conclusions. The most important one for Micronoma, which was, can we predict a cancer from just looking at the microbial signature we can find in the blood? And the answer was yes. Here are some of the data showing you that the performance are similar when we look in the tissue or in the blood. We reproduced these results on a smaller cohort looking at plasma, which was way more practical for our need. And same thing again, we recapitulated the results, as you can see in our Nature article. Very great sensitivity for very great specificity. So with that, Micronoma has been launched. We are doing a largest cohort study on about, in fact, more than 1,000 cancer samples and controls. And we're looking at the spectrum from healthy control to benign, as well as cancer patients, so that we can answer this question: do you have malignant cancer or is it benign? We are focusing on lung right now, but we have a long pipeline ahead of us. And we are right now in a Series A, raising $30 million that should close later this year. I thank you very much for your attention and welcome your questions.
Thank you so much, Sandrine. And it is time for the questions now. Jury members who would like to start? Oh, I see the raised hand. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. Very good presentation and very inspiring and very important area that you are now tapping into. My question is that who are your clients and what's your revenue model?
Yes, so our clients are going to be the oncologist and the pulmonologist for lung cancer. Obviously, the specialists are going to depend on the cancer we are looking at, but they are going at first to be radiologists, pulmonologists, oncologists, who are going to want to have an alternative to tissue biopsy to evaluate their patient. We are going to be receiving samples from this patient here in our headquarters in California that we are going to process and analyze on site under CLIA/CAP regulation. Much like other liquid biopsy offering here. Our main differences here is going to be that we are looking at microbiome signature instead of signature coming from the cancer directly.
What is the financial model behind it? How does the actual earning of the money work, and what is the potential and sort of profitability of such a venture?
Well, what's working in our advantage for liquid biopsy is that we are using next-gen sequencing, which the cost is going to be is getting lower as we speak, as well as AI and computing cost is going lower as well. So that's the cost itself is going lower in our business favor. Meanwhile, the need is still high, and so there is for a minimally invasive methodology, and so there is a clear need to have a solution that's going to be cost-effective for the healthcare system and the patient, but still leaving a lot of margin for Micronoma to be able to operate while developing our pipeline. The way we are positioning ourselves is very likely to have an acquisition in our future. So most of the money we're raising is not leading toward commercialization, because likely an acquirer would have all of their marketing and commercial channel already well established. So not to say we don't want to have a sales team or a marketing team, we will have it, but in a reasonable scope, so that most of our funding and revenues are geared toward growing our pipeline.
Please go ahead.
What are some of the limitations of this diagnostic approach relative to the biopsy methods and other established diagnostic processes?
So liquid biopsy, other methods in liquid biopsy have a limitation that we do not have. So let's talk on the positive side first. We don't have the limitation that the marker we are looking at are not linked to the size of the tumor. So most of the liquid biopsy technology are looking at mutation, methylation pattern, and all of this signal is coming from the tumor. If you have a large tumor, you're going to have a lot of signal in the blood. If you have a small tumor, which is the case in the early stage, you won't have as much signal. Our signatures are not coming from the tumor exclusively, it's coming from the tumor, the environment, the host response. So that's increasing our power of detection, sensitivity, and specificity in the early stage. Our limitation is going to be, for some cancer, we cannot do what tissue biopsy can do, which is staging, telling you if you're stage 1, 2, 3, or 4. And that is because in some cases, the tumor microbiome itself for some cancer type is not going to change from a stage 1 to a stage 4. On the other hand, some cancer, as we have shown in the Nature paper, their microbiome is going to evolve from stage 1 to stage 4. So that's a limitation. While for tissue biopsy, you're pretty much always able to stage the cancer. In our cases, we will not be able to stage in all cancer type.
Trupin, the last question for you.
Yeah, so you mentioned that in terms of you don't really have a plans for commercialization, but want to be acquired, if you will. So what is your current revenue and your financial situation?
So let me rephrase that. It's not that we do not have a plan for commercialization. We have a plan for targeted and lean commercialization. So we are going to absolutely do and commercialize, or else no one will know about it, and no one will, and we won't have revenue generation. We are just doing a very targeted approach for key centers when we are going to make a major difference. And key payer organizations that are going to recommend our methodology because it's going to generate a very significant cost saving for them. That is how we are going to be able to generate our revenue. It's through a very targeted approach of our sales channels.
Cedrine Miller-Montgomery from Micronoma, thank you so much. And again, we ask our jury members to cast their votes on the voting platform. And this is it. We're ending Superfinals. And the last time today, we announce a short break. It's going to be up to 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, we will know who is the winner. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the momentum of our last conference day. Soon we will know who is the winner from Health Tech Challenges, and I am sure that you are just about excited to know who it is. So without any further ado, let me invite Mr. Eimantas Mikšys, CPO of our event host, Cybel Health, for the big reveal and, of course, closing remarks. So, Eimantas, welcome. How are you today? What a day. What a day.
What an exciting day, actually.
Absolutely.
A lot of difficulties, but nevertheless, we finally have a winner.
Yeah, finally, we have the winner. And probably it is good time to announce what is the prize for the winner.
Of course.
And the winner will receive an equity-free money prize, which is $10,000 US. Sounds great.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, actually.
Absolutely. And of course, there will be some more additional prizes for the category winners, for the challengers. And of course, the winner also will receive some really, really nice prizes as well. And of course, equity-free prize, which is 10,000 US dollars.
Yeah. So basically, should we start or should we have a little bit of intrigue?
Oh, I think we could have some small intrigue.
Yeah,
Okay.
why not, basically. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eimantas Mikšys, as you already know, and I was part of the jury. But before I announce the winner, I actually want to say that and share a few things from my personal experience. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, actually, if you're going to win or lose today. Of course, it definitely helps to win such contests and participate in such contests. I know that at some point it maybe sounds a little bit strange that I'm saying things like that by being part of this amazing conference and amazing pitch battle, but the real businesses actually succeed not in the pitch battles. And I know that you will get like lots of publicity, maybe lots of attention from potential investors. If you're going to be a winner of this contest, maybe you even have uplift your team spirits. But real businesses actually succeed not in the pitch battles, and real businesses succeed in wild market conditions. And I know this from my rough personal experience and lessons already learned. I really wish that all of you actually today, you were all great. And the difference between the winner and the second and the third place is actually very tight. So I'm actually really hoping that you all succeed in those wild market conditions and you'll do great. So first of all, thank you all for participating in the pitch battle, and I'm sure that we can announce the winner without all of further ado. And drums, ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate winner of Health Tech Challengers 2021 is CogniFit. I'm told that we might have Carlos, one of the co-founders of the company. So we can actually congratulate him and ask him a few questions. Hello, Carlos.
Hello, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was an incredible surprise. So interesting day. Thank you for organizing all this. So thank you so much.
Basically, you already created amazing company, and your product sounds really interesting. How do you feel about the win today?
Oh, I feel great. That's kind of fantastic and somehow unexpected, because I kind of participate on all this by luck, because I received an email from you and I was had so many emails that I kind of decided to join the context and see and present it by luck. And then now we are the winners, so it's like a huge thing. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for trusting, for understanding, and for the support to our project.
Yeah, congratulations one more time. And I want to ask you the last question, and I guess you'll have enough time to celebrate today. What are your next plans? What are the next big things for your company?
Yeah, the next big things basically is we are now in the process of rolling out the technology that we have been developing through the years. So now I'm in the process of fundraising a significant amount of money in order to deploy all the technology and commercialize digital therapeutics technology in the US and in Europe. So it's a big jump moving from wellness to digital pharma. So I think it's the right moment in time for society, for the company, and for the world to leverage and use our technology. So that's what is happening now.
I wish you all the best, Carlos, and good luck with your fundraising, and good luck with your company.
Thank you.
Congratulations one more time.
Thank you.
And I guess by wrapping the conference up, I would also like to sum up a few things and few thoughts from the previous days. We had more than 100 speakers from different countries, different companies, like Microsoft, Bayer, AstraZeneca, Cybel Health, of course, and I would like to thank you for participating and taking your time for this amazing event. And I believe that this conference would be the first step in revolutionizing the healthcare. And as we all know, there actually will hardly be another year of such change that healthcare system actually had an experience as it was in 2020. The global pandemic actually shifted the focus and pushed the sector to adapt and innovate, and it also defined how we are going to actually perceive and see the healthcare system within the next 10 years. And of course, new technologies changed. There always were new technologies, and they always existed in the digital health within the digital health companies, but the money wasn't there, and the funding increased. And within the last year, within the 2020, digital health companies raised more than 20 billion United States dollars, which is all-time high. Incredible achievement, and on-demand healthcare was one of the actually it was the most valued value proposition in 2020. So this kind of means that we are on something big, and this trend continues to this year. And I think that Health Tech Forward 2021 conference has taught us so much about what it means to push digital health boundaries, and how to start a new successful health venture, and furthermore achieve a better future for global healthcare through collaboration. So thank you all for joining today and making this event an unforgettable experience. Thank you all, and see you next year.
Absolutely. Eimantas, thank you so much for your closing remarks. And yeah, we would like to thank everybody for participation. We would like to thank all the speakers. We would like to thank all the viewers, and we would like to thank our sponsors. Without them, this became possible. And once again, give it up for Press Sergeant, Easy, Big Health, Medicta, We Care, Cybel Health, Gig XR, and Yours app. It was really great pleasure to work with you, and we thank everyone, and lots of love from the city of Vilnius. Bye-bye.